I'm sharing a screen with you. PowerPoint presentation I'll share with you. So this is our today's topic, the general characters, classification and affinity of Protochordata, as you have asked. So the protochordates, while doing the synopsis and biodiversity of protochordata, we have seen a number of characters of protochordates, and what is protochordata, that also we have seen. Protochordata क्या है हम लोग देख चुके हैं. टैक्सोनॉमिकली अगर कहें तो टैक्सोनॉमिकली प्रोटोकॉर्डेटा एक बहुत ही फॉर्मल क्लासिफिकेशन वी कांट डू, क्योंकि प्रोटोकॉर्डेटा के जो 3 ग्रुप हैं which are mainly included in the you can say as the subphyla of Protochordata, that is Hemichordata, Urochordata and Cephalocardita. These 3 groups were included in the subphylum again, or superphylum, or the group or the division Protochordata of chordates. Protos, as the name says, you know, protos means first, and these are as the name says, these are the first or the lower chordates, you can say. So this protochordates are informal category of animals. बहुत formal classification taxonomy कुछ protochordata का बहुत defined taxonomic group की तरह it is not yet possible, because once in the very beginning of the phylogeny जब देखा जा रहा था animals का एक evolutionary tree was being made, then the chordates have been divided into 2 major groups, that is the protochordata and the chordata. This chordata term we have already seen so many times, so I'm not very much emphasizing again here, but you know, this chordata term denotes the development of a cord-like structure that is called as notochord, which is for the support of the animal. The phylogeny of Protochordata is very informal, you can say. It is the categories, the proper taxonomic groups are how much of authenticity it is very much of under considerations. सबसे पहले Protochordata का जो classification किया गया था, तो 3 group बनाए गए, that is the Hemichordata, the Urochordata and the Cephalocardita. And these 3 groups, along with certain other lower non-chordates, that is the Echinodermata and Annelida mainly, they have been kept. Not again the Annelida is the Annelida is not again in the group of the 2 broader categories of the Animalia, that is the Protostomes and Deuterostomes. These are facts we have already discussed so many times in the previous classes. The protostomes are the animals which have developed, in which during the embryonic development, there is a single opening, which is said to be the mouth develops first, and that is why they have been kept as the protostomes. And the another group in which the higher chordates as well as higher non-chordates are included, that is mainly in echinoderms, and that group is the deuterostomes. The deuterostomes are a monophyletic group of multicellular animals that include Chordata, a phylum that exhibits a unique body plan within the metazoans. Deuterostomes classically contain 3 phyla: Echinodermata, Hemichordata, and Chordata. Here exist the controversies. According to the most accepted views nowadays, Deuterostomata में 3 groups रखे गए हैं. You can say here it is written phyla, so we can see it, consider it as phyla. That is the Echinodermata. You know, Echinodermata is the highest developed or most evolved non-chordates. And then the Protochordata, the previous Protochordata has been now divided into major two subphyla. One is Hemichordata. Again, now there is controversy. Some of the taxonomists, they have prepared, they have created a very separate phylum itself of Hemichordata that was an aberrant group. Aberrant group का मतलब होता है bluntly ending. Echinodermata से जब डेवलपमेंट हो रहा था कॉर्डेट्स का, तो उस दौरान एक डाइवर्जेंट लाइन पर डेवलप हुआ हेमिकॉर्डेटा ग्रुप, और वो आबरेंटली एंड कर गया. हेमिकॉर्डेटा से फर्दर इवोल्यूशनरी ट्री में और कोई ग्रुप इवॉल्व नहीं हुआ. एंड दिस कॉर्डेटा ग्रुप, the other two groups which were included in the informal category of Protochordata now remain Urochordata and the Cephalocardita. Euro name means the tail related. So as the name says, the chordate characters are present in tail of these animals, and cephalic means head. So the main chordate characters are present in the so-called head region. So the animals bearing the chordate characters in the primarily in the head region were kept under Cephalocordata, and in the tail the chordate characters were present that were kept in another group, that is Urochordata. Now here is the again there is a story to be mentioned, क्योंकि यूरोकॉर्डेटा में जो ट्यूनिकाटा या यूरोकॉर्डेटा का जो बॉडी स्ट्रक्चर है वो बिल्कुल बैग की तरह होता है. एक बैग है जिसमें दो ओपनिंग्स हैं, एक ओपनिंग से पानी अंदर जा रहा है, दूसरे ओपनिंग से पानी बाहर निकल रहा है. एट्रियम के दो साइफन की तरह के स्ट्रक्चर्स होते हैं, इसमें तो टेल होता ही नहीं है. सो इट इज वेरी मच रिमार्केबल पॉइंट कि टेल प्रेजेंट होता है यूरोकॉर्डेट्स में larval stage में, and that larval stage is called as Assyrian larva or tadpole larva. और उस tadpole larva में ही, this is the figure, ये जो tadpole larva है या tunicate larva है, इसमें tail region में notochord है, nerve cord है, the main chordate characters, the two main chordate characters. However, the pharynx with slits is present in the head region, which is retained in the adult form. This is the adult tunicate. So this is the Urochordata. Now again, some of the scientists are having the opinion that like Hemichordata, Urochordata also can be kept in a separate phylum, and on the direct tree of evolutionary tree, this is the Cephalocordata, which has all the chordate characters, the three or four important chordate characters, that is the notochord, dorsal tubular nerve cord, then pharyngeal gill slits, then post-anal tail, then presence of an endostyle or thyroid gland-like structure. These are the most important chordate characters which are typically present in the Cephalocordata, and hence the phylogenetically it is believed that members of Tunicata exhibit a unique adult body plan and should be considered a separate phylum rather than a subphylum of Chordata. The molecular phylogeny of Deuterostomes is reviewed and discussed in the context of likely morphological evolutionary scenario, and possibility is raised that ancestor of Tunicata were colonial. In this scenario, the colonial tadpole larva would be more resemble an ancestral chordate. Larva ज़्यादा ancestral chordate की तरह है than the solitary tadpole larva. In contrast, the true chordates, the vertebrates and cephalochordates, would have evolved from filter-feeding benthic worms with cartilaginous gill slits, similar to extant entrepneused hemichordates. So this is the phylogeny of Protochordata. Now, in short, अगर हम देखें Protochordata के बारे में, तो Protochordata हम conclusion में कह सकते हैं, the Protochordate is organism that belong to lower chordates. Though not part of proper taxonomic group, these organisms form a major part of Chordata. They have a notochord, a structure that provides support to the organism for a certain period during their lifetime or all throughout. कुछ किसी भी period में कहीं पे present होता है, कहीं पे पूरे lifeline में रहता है. Often also called as acraniata. Another important name for these Protochordata is acraniata. That is no cranium. Cranium is the brain box or the skull. Now, This is the general description of Protochordata. Now, these are some important characteristics of Protochordata. Notochord present, इसके बारे में हम लोग बहुत बार देख चुके. Then Protochordata generally found to be living in marine water. Central nervous system of Protochordata is single, hollow, dorsal, which is completely unlike the central nervous system of non-chordata. Bodies are triploblastic, bilaterally symmetrical in synchronization with the organ system level of organization. A post-anal tail is present to ensure the balance across the most protochordate. Pharynx in protochordate is perforated by gill slits to facilitate water circulation for respiration. The heart is ventral with a closed circulatory system. ये open and closed circulatory system हम लोग बहुत बार देख चुके हैं. All hemichordates are marine organisms. While some live in solitary confinement, others can be colonial. Body is unsegmented, cylindrical, and stout. Triploblastic, bilaterally symmetrical, body wall with a single layer of epidermis and longitudinal fibers that are smooth in nature. In hemichordates, sorry, we have come to hemichordates. यस अब इसमें हम लोग एक बार शॉर्ट में हेमिकॉर्डेटा, यूरोकॉर्डेटा और सिफेलोकॉर्डेटा का, चूंकि हम प्रोटोकॉर्डेटा देख रहे हैं तो हेमिकॉर्डेटा के कुछ कैरेक्टर्स इंपॉर्टेंट, यूरोकॉर्डेटा एंड सिफेलोकॉर्डेटा के देख लें, देन वी विल मूव टू द हेमिकॉर्डेटा. तो दीज आर इंपॉर्टेंट कैरेक्टर्स ऑफ हेमिकॉर्डेटा. हेमिकॉर्डेटा की बॉडी एकॉन की तरह होती है, नट शेल की तरह बंद होती है, यू शेप्ड बरोज में ये रहते हैं. इनकी बॉडी इज डिवाइडेड इनटू प्रोबॉसिस, कॉलर एंड ट्रंक. The collar may have tentacles. However, these tentacles are not locomotory in function. Circulatory system include dorsal heart with longitudinal dorsal and ventral vessel. The blood of hemichordates has no corpuscles. They possess complete digestive tract. All hemichordates use ciliary mechanism of feeding. The body of Hemichordata has general surface that facilitates breathing, otherwise respiration occurs with the help of multiple pair of gill slits. Excretory system is made up of glomerulus or proboscis gland. Then nervous system consists of epidermal plexus or nerve cells along the nerve fibers. Sexes may be united or separate. Gonads may exist in multiple pairs. Asexual reproduction is common. The hemichordate examples are balanoglossus, सबसे ज़्यादा known है और जिसके बहुत सारे species known है. Then is the another group. अब आप इसको class कहिए, सब phylum कहिए, phylum कहिए. There are so many views we have already seen. The Urochordata. Urochordata are again the marine organisms. They are the filter feeders. Mostly sessile in nature. Sessile मतलब fixed रहते हैं. The body is enclosed in a leathery sheath, so-called tunic, and hence the group is also called as Tunicata, and the animals are called as tunicates. The tunic is formed of a particular protein, that is tunicine. The notochord that only appears in the larval tail of Urochordates. The spelling is here correct. The spelling Urochordata. This appears in adults due to retrogressive metamorphosis. This spelling Urochordata. No presence of excretory system. Blood of Urochordates comprises venadocytes. A particular type of corpuscles present होते हैं Urochordata के blood में. Circulatory system is of open type, reproduce asexually by process of budding. Urochordata breathes through gill slits or stigma, which are numerous in number. Instead of opening into the exterior, they open into the atrium. When we were doing the biodiversity of chordata, we have already seen atrium में खुलता है respiratory opening. The nerve cord is also known as neural tube in the larva and is replaced by one dorsal ganglion in adults. The example is salpad, oleolum, and headmania. And then comes the Cephalocardita. Cephalocardita are also marine organism filter feeders. Tail of Cephalocardita stay throughout their life. Body wall is made up of myotomes, often lending a fish-like resemblance. Myotomes we have very well seen when we were doing the biodiversity. इस तरह से when we will see the Cephalocardita separately, characters and affinities, we will see again the details. The musculature is in form of V-shaped myotomes, and in between these are the myotomes. These V-shaped muscular structures are the myotomes, and in between structures are the myomeres. This is the segmentation of the body. Chordata does not have the formation of a brain. Instead of having the nerve cord for all their lives, well developed brain अभी तक नहीं है, ना brain है, ना brain box है. The notochord persists throughout the life, extending up to the head or the cephalic region. Excretion in Cephalocordata occurs through paired protonephridia. For the first time, kidney का existence appearance में आता है animal group में in form of the protonephridia, that is the very primitive stage of protonephridia, with solenocytes or flagellated cells. Flagellated cells का एक bunch होता है जिनको जो मिल करके combinedly ये solenocytes, these cells are called as solenocytes or flagellated cells, and these flagellated cells, with the beating of their hair-like structures, they create current into the body fluid and extract out the excretory wastes. They have plenty of gill slits which also persist while they are in adult stage. They open into atrium. Cephalocordata is also known to live by burrowing and are free swimmers. The most burning example of Cephalocordata is the Amphioxus. Now, this is the short outline of classification of Protochordata. The subphylum Hemichordata has been divided into two living classes. We have already seen while doing biodiversity. 4 क्लासेस हैं सब फाइलम हेमिकॉर्डेटा के, जिनमें 2 कंप्लीटली एक्सटिंक्ट हैं, 2 लिविंग में 2 क्लासेस हैं जिनमें लिविंग हेमिकॉर्डेट्स पाए जाते हैं. The Enteropneusta, the example is Balanoglossus, and Pterobranchia, the example is Rhabdopleura. The subphylum 2 Urochordata has 3 classes: Larvaceae, Acidiaceae, and Thylaceae. The Larvaceae, the examples are Herdmania, Salpa, and Doliolum. Then the Amphioxus bears a single class, that is the Branchiostomata, or the Cephalocordata. It bears a single class Branchiostomata, and the example is Amphioxus and Asymmetron. Amphioxus is also called as Branchiostome. So with this ends the characteristics and classification of Protochordata. Another topic that we can complete today is the characters, classification, and affinities of phylum Hemichordata. Now it's up to you now which classification do you accept or do you want to say, but whenever you answer, definitely the phylogeny you discuss the different opinions, and then start with the group, which I am starting here with a phylum Hemichordata, which is no more in any way connected to the chordate now. A cord-like structure is present in the Balanoglossus, which on the basis of which, जिसको observe करने के बाद, जिसके basis पर Hemichordata को, hemi means half, ये कहा गया कि Hemichordates are having the most prominent chordate character in this group was only the presence of a cord-like structure, जिसको जो collar region में present है, proboscis region में present है, था proboscis और collar के juncture पे, and it is said that it was extending up to the body part also, trunk part also, and it is said that that cord is maybe the very primitive form of notochord. But now the view is completely rejected on the basis of their embryonic development of notochord is not at all resembling with the development of this endostyle, and now according to the latest classification, it is not at all included in the phylum Chordata. Hemichordata has been kept in a completely separate group that evolved from Echinodermata and acquired an aberrant line, aberrant, that is bluntly ending. This is the Echinodermata. Then from the Echinodermata, the Hemichordates evolved on a divergent line and ended there. They haven't given uh, uh, evolved in any further chordate type. Rather, on the direct line of evolution, then the protochordates have been considered with only two groups, that is the Urochordata and the Cephalocordata. Now we are considered here with the Hemichordata. These are the various schemes of classification given by three important taxonomists. According to Hyman, 1959, Hemichordata has been divided into three important classes: Entropneusta, Pterobranchia, and Planctospheroidea. The Planctospheroidea included all the extinct forms. The Entropneusta, the example is Balanoglossus. The Pterobranchia has two orders, Rhabdopleurida and Cephalodiscida. The example of Pterobranchia is Rhabdopleura. Then, according to Marshall and Williams, 1964, and Young is a very known taxonomist, and its views have got great importance in the taxonomical world. In 1981, he has again divided chordata into subphylum Adelochordata or Hemichordata and or Stomatochordata, having two classes, Enteropneusta and Pterobranchia. According to Barnes, 1994, this is and Anderson, 1998, then Pechnik, 2000. These are the names which are now well-established names in the taxonomic history. Hemichordata is divided into two classes, Enteropneusta and Pterobranchia. So this is the classification. Now, the important characters of Hemichordata we have seen so many times. So simply I'm mentioning the characters without further discussions. The hemichordates means they are half of part chordate, a fact that is disputed. They are usually vermiform, solitary or colonial, enterocoelous coelomate animals with an intraepidermal nervous system and a preoral with or without gill slits and without typical nephridia. Other important characteristics are exclusively marine, solitary or colonial, mostly tuberculous. ये ट्यूब की तरह का ट्यूब की तरह के channels बनाते हैं under the ground, and into this tube-like structure they reside, and hence they are called as, this is the in the marine shore, they create this type of tube-like channels or tube-like tubes in which they remain, they rest during the resting period. यहाँ पर ये rest करते हुए रहते हैं इस cup वाले portion में. They remain lying when they are not in very active position, when they are resting or when they are not feeding in feeding stage. So this is the balanoglossus, and this is the tube or the vessel in which they reside. The body is divisible into proboscis, collar, and trunk. This is the balanoglossus. This is the proboscis, this is collar, and this is the trunk. The body is soft, fragile, vermiform, unsegmented, bilaterally symmetrical, and triploblastic, divisible into proboscis, collar, and trunk. Body wall with single layered epidermis with mucus glands. No dermis is present. That is another very important characteristic, keeping the question mark of the putting them in phylum chordata, जहाँ triploblastic skin or dermis होता है. Coelom enterocoelous, divisible into protocoel, mesocoel, and metacoel. Buccal diverticulum, earlier considered as notochord, present in the proboscis. The alimentary canal is a straight, complete U-shaped tube. Dorsolateral pharyngeal gill slits, when present, 1 to several pairs, and they are the ciliary filter feeders. Cilia की सहायता से पानी में करंट प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, फिल्टर करते हैं फूड को, और देन डाइजेशन प्रोसीड. Simple, open, well-developed circulatory system, including a dorsal heart and two longitudinal vessels, one dorsal and one ventral. Excretion by a single glomerulus situated in the proboscis. Proboscis के एरिया में bunch of structures present होते हैं जिनको एक साथ glomerulus कहा जाता है और they help in excretion. Primitive type of nervous system consisting mainly of subepidermal nerve plexus. Dorsal collar nerve cord is hollow. Reproduction mainly sexual. Sexual sexes separate. समय 10 मिनट बचा है. 10 मिनट में हम लोग आज हेमिकॉर्डेटा खत्म कर लेंगे. Sexes usually separate gonads one to several pairs. Fertilization is external in seawater. Development is direct or indirect. There are sometimes metamorphic development has been recorded through a Tornaria larva, and that is the resemblances that establishes. This was one of the main reasons कि उनको कॉर्डेटा में रखा गया था. एक एंडोस्टाइल का प्रेजेंस था और दूसरा टॉर्नेरिया लार्वा का, जो कि काफी कुछ रिजेंबल करता था in structure with the echinoderm larvae. The examples are Balanoglossus, Saccoglossus, Rhabdopleura, Dendrograptus. So these are the hemichordates. This diagram shows the different types of hemichordates. These are the different types of hemichordates: Balanoglossus, Rhabdopleura. These are the examples of different types of hemichordates in this figure. Now, affinities of Phylum Hemichordata. Affinities, I think you must be knowing affinities are the link or the connections of the animal or the animal group with the succeeding and preceding groups of animal kingdom is considered as the affinities. आगे का group और पीछे के group के साथ इनकी क्या similarities हैं और क्या specific similarities हैं जिनकी वजह से इनको ना पहले के group में रखा गया ना बाद के ग्रुप में रखा गया, बल्कि एक अलग इनका ग्रुप बनाया गया. एंड so the discussion of all these characters comes under the heading affinities. Now the hemichordates, they have the most important and notable markable affinities with chordates. These are the characters on the basis of which proposed the taxonomists, they proposed closer affinities with phylum Chordata. These characters, these resemblances were based on presence of three fundamental characters of chordates in hemichordates, that is notochord, dorsal hollow nerve cord, and pharyngeal gill slits. All these three important chordate characters were said to be present previously in this hemichordata group. Moreover, the structure and function of pharyngeal and branchial apparatus of hemichordata is similar to that of Cephalocardita and Urochordata. The origin of coelom is enterocelic type in form of 5 pouches from the archenteron as in Brachiostoma, that is in Cephalocordata. जैसे Cephalocordata में coelom का condition है, करीब करीब वैसा coelom है, enterocelic endodermis के pouches से बनता है, पर endodermis का ही existence questionable है hemichordata में, इसलिए ये theories they have been kept under the questions. बहुत सारे controversies arise हुए. Due to all above stated similarities, Hemichordata was considered a subphylum of Phylum Chordata for a long time. But recently, this view has been rejected, putting them with Chordata or in chordate group or in Protochordata group. And the serious objections were these two. A true notochord does not exist in Hemichordata. As I have told you, नोटोकॉर्ड एम्ब्रियोनिक डेवलपमेंट में बिल्कुल सेपरेट है ट्रू नोटोकॉर्ड के इन हेमिकॉर्डेट्स. Unlike the notochord of chordates, the so-called notochord of hemichordata is very short, confined to proboscis, and without any supporting function. Instead of being solid and made up of vacuolated cells, it is hollow and made up of epithelial cells. Instead of being called notochord, it is now referred to as stomochord. अब उस कॉर्ड को एंडोस्टाइल या नोटोकॉर्ड ना कह करके स्टोमोकॉर्ड कहते हैं बाय बेटसन, एज बक्कल डाइवर्टिकुलम बाय हाइमन. हाइमन ने इसको बक्कल डाइवर्टिकुलम बुलाया और बेटसन ने स्टोमोकॉर्ड कहा. द नर्वस सिस्टम इज डिस्टिंक्टली ऑफ इनवर्टिब्रेट टाइप, बीइंग intraepidermal in position, and having a ventral nerve cord and circumcentric nerve ring which are absent in chordates. So on the basis of these two serious objections, this hemichordata has been kept out of the group in association, kept out of the chordata group. The third important objection was gill slits are numerous and dorsal in position, where as they are 5 to 7 and laterally positioned in chordates. Chordates में gill slits lateral position में होते हैं. So 5 minutes, within 5 minutes, the meeting will be finished. So I'm going a bit fast. If you have any problem, ask me in the next class. Affinities with invertebrata. Now, when it is not kept in association with the chordates with invertebrates, they have been, the hemichordata has been kept with many minor and major phyla. Now, what are these minor and major phyla? We have seen when we were doing the biodiversity. Now, the minor and major phyla of non-chordates के साथ first affinity was with Rhynchocephalia, linked hemichordata with Rhynchocephalia as the feeding and burrowing habits were similar. But objection was that the Rhynchocephalus differ in lacking a dorsal nerve cord and having lateral nerve cord. Then with another minor phyla, affinities with Phoronida, it has been associated with Phoronids. But again, this objection arose, and Phoronida has paired metanephridia, which are absent in hemichordata. So this view is also rejected. Then they have been kept in association with the Pogonophora. They relate hemichordata with Pogonophora, some of the scientists, due to similarities in formation of enterocoelous coelom, division of body and coelom into 3 regions, intraepidermal nervous system. But the objections or the dissimilarities were the pogonophores differ in having protocoelic nephridial coelom ducts and lacking alimentary canal. Moreover, nervous system is concentrated in protostome in pogonophores, where in hemichordata it is concentrated in mesosome. Then it has been associated with the major phyla, that is Annelida and Echinodermata. Affinities with Annelida, it has been seriously related with the hemichordates have been related with annelids due to similarities in vermiform body and coelom, burrowing habits, ingesting mud, which passes out as casting through anus, arrangement of blood vessels with blood flowing anteriorly in dorsal vessel and posteriorly in ventral vessel, dorsal position of heart. These are very important characteristics resembling with Annelida. But the objection or the dissimilarity was annelids differ in lacking pharyngeal gill slits, stomochord, and dorsal tubular nerve cord. Hemichordates do not have double ventral nerve cord and nephridia as in annelids. So then another major phyla was Echinodermata, जिसके साथ इसके बहुत सारे resemblances record किए गए. Echinoderms and hemichordates both are having similar enterocoelous coelom divided into 3 different parts filled with seawater. Then heart vesicle and glomerulus of hemichordates are considered homologous to dorsal and axial gland of Echinodermata. Both have common habits, ecological niches, and remarkable power of regeneration. These are the important, some more important similarities. The larvae, they bear larvae, and but the objection was the echinoderm larvae differ in lacking apical plate with sensory hair. And so lastly, this is the systematic position of hemichordata. We have discussed very much. अब 1 minute से भी कम समय है. In any time it will be, the meeting will be over. Peculiar anatomical organization of hemichordata makes their phylogenetic position uncertain and controversial. According to Barrington, Echinodermata deviated greatly from the line of ancestral stock and formed a blind branch that I have told, aberrant group. Even hemichordata did not stand on the direct main line of chordate evolution. Hemichordates arose from the ancestral line after divergence of ancient echinoderms, but before the rise of true chordates, and hence they are often called as pre-chordata. So with this ends the the characters, classification, and affinities of Hemichordata. This is the final status of Hemichordata. Hemichordata status. It was still recently treated as some phylum of, subphylum of Phylum Chordata, but is now regarded to be independent phylum of invertebrates very close to phylum Echinodermata. The peculiar characteristics of Hemichordata are enterocellous coelom, pharyngeal gill slits, buccal diverticulum, vermiform body divisible into three regions, proboscis, collar, and trunk.